In this video, I'm going to give another way of looking at introverted thinking that if you're confused about what it does, this will help you understand what it's doing and give you a frame of reference so that you can more easily understand it when you're doing it in real life as well. What's up, Game Changer? It's Sherman here from Geek Psychology, helping you find your true character and level it up so you can play life better. Introverted thinking. So I first want to read from this little book right here, this fancy little book. Functions of Type. Just because it's got some nice, clear wording, and I have a bad memory. Activities for developing introverted thinking. Organize data and ideas into logical categories. Use an internal framework. Seek data to fill out taxonomies. Understand the underlying model of how things work. Search for precision. Revise models and categories. Prioritize categories. Okay, done with the book. It's very gentle. I love the book. So as you can understand, it's categorizing. It's putting information into different containers, into different buckets, so that it can understand where things go, where things are meant to be. How do I understand what this thing is? Dario Nardi gave the example of a dolphin. Is it a fish or a mammal? Okay, it's a mammal. So why is it a mammal? How does it fit within that category of being a mammal, an aquatic mammal, a marine mammal? I don't do introverted thinking. Well, okay. I don't do it well. There is this kind of appeal for me to finding the perfect wording for something, but a lot of it is also because I want it to be actionable and I want it to be understood by everybody, which is this extroverted thinking kind of decisiveness, this decision that like, okay, this information's here, now we all understand it, and that's what I want. It's not necessarily for a personal gain. Okay, so we're talking about categorizing. Okay, we're talking about refining these categories and putting things into the correct places that they're supposed to be. I was studying recently on marketing and also just the human brain and how we can take 7 bits or 7 numbers, 7 ideas or whatever it is, 7 pieces of information usually within a group. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 9, but in general 7. Right? This is, I mentioned it before, this is why your phone number is about that many digits, and if it gets too many more, then it starts to be, it gets lost, right? So if you have a container or a group that has about 5 to 9, 7 plus or minus 2 different items or pieces of information, then it's easy to remember, or easier to remember. And what introverted thinking is doing is it's making smaller and smaller groups so that they are separate from each other, and then within that it can store that 7 or so bits of information. And then it's able to split that possibly into a different container, a different element, so that it understands that at a finer and finer, more precise level. If you were to think of like games, okay, let's do game genres, right? You can think of like RPG games, strategy games, puzzle games, adventure games, whatever. You get a few out and then it starts to slow down, right? Obviously you could keep going, but there are some that are just high up in your memory. And then from there, you can split that into smaller categories. Okay, let's talk about RPG games. What kinds of RPG games are there? There's like JRPG games, massive multiplayer RPG games. There's like roguelike games, which is kind of another subcategory. Maybe even like MOBAs, that becomes another subcategory. And so from within that, you could think of MOBAs. Okay, well, what kinds of MOBAs are there? This is just refining and refining the categories more and more. And introverted thinking is doing that with all sorts of information. This is why you can data dump on TPs, and they're just like, oh yeah, I got it. I'm parsing it out. You know, I'm making sense of this. This makes this sense. This goes over here. I understand this information as being this, and it's just connecting all of that by putting the information in its separate containers. My tummy disagreed. It's my tummy. You can tell that I spend a lot of time around kids and speak like a baby. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video, just to help you understand, if you don't, if you didn't, what is going on with introverted thinking and how it's making the decisions that it does. It's by getting this information, compiling it into specifically named and labeled taxonomies and categories, and putting all that information in front of you in a way that you can access it and say, okay, this is that information that's going to give us the biggest leverage on our decisions. Or this shows us that doing this action is the correct decision. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If this video was helpful, please let me know down below in the comments what made sense to you, as well as if I'm missing something a little bit. Obviously there's only so much I can do in a 5-minute video, but I want to know. I want to know your specific wording for what is going on in your brain. So if you're interested in more introverted thinking based videos, you can check them out over there, and other personality type profiles over there. Keep up the lifelong questing. Good luck, have fun. Peace.